through history, Britain has been the safest country in the world to invest. It is institutionally the strongest. It is the most predictable. They have always had one thing going for themselves, this sort of tiny, pointless little island, and that is that everyone knows, everyone understands the strength of their institutions and believes that they are a predictable economy. They have just thrown that assumption out of the window. This matters for us more than it does for most other countries around the world. And that is because we have had a British bias in our investments for a very, very long time. We have to try and work out now what it means for Britain to no longer be the island of stability in a disordered world that once we thought it was. It is now a source of disorder rather than a source of order. Okay? That is the first big picture problem with Brexit. But the influence that Brexit has on Europe is also unpredictable. Will it increase the tendency for Brexit-type parties to take off in various parts of Europe? Or will it, in fact, paradoxically, cause the European community to be stronger now that Britain, which was always an outlier in terms of its commitment to the European project, has left the table? We don't even know where Europe is going after Brexit. It's not just Brexit that Europe is dealing with, all right? Europe is also dealing with a profound crisis of integration. And a crisis of integration that works in two different directions. First, are the individual nation states of the European Union content with each other? Have they bought into the idea, do they continue to buy into the idea that the European Union will grow ever closer, that it will become an ever more efficient way of sharing resources, of pooling know-how, of transferring people, and of harmonizing regulations? This has been one of the founding assumptions of Europe for a very, very long time, all right, for at least 40 years. Is that idea reversing? But the other sort of integration that Europe is dealing with is the integration of its people, all right? Not just the generations of migrants that have been living in Europe for 15, 20 years, but also the flood of new migrants that have come into Europe from the giant dislocations that have happened in West Asia and North Africa. We actually have to go back to a Cold War mentality, because this is someone who, according to reports that came out yesterday, has repeatedly asked in his intelligence briefings exactly how he can use the nuclear button. All right. He has asked about it apparently 3 times. This is not apparently a question that most people who receive the intelligence briefing when they're running for president first ask. So he has also asked, why is it that the United States should not use nuclear weapons first? So Donald Trump breaks the mold, all right? And this is an extraordinary source of risk. We've had crazy people becoming leaders of powerful nations before. But a crazy person has never become the leader of the United States of America. All right? Even George W. Bush, who many people thought was unpredictable and dangerous, in retrospect looks like a model of calmness, sanity, and restraint. China, as the video said, is facing a prolonged slowdown. But remember, there are political risks behind this as well. Everyone says that the current president of China is the most powerful president, that is the most powerful Chinese leader, possibly since Mao, definitely since Deng Xiaoping. But a system like this, which is not transparent at all, you never really know the pressures that are being put on it until it breaks. A system like ours, or a system like those that exist in Western Europe and America, you can see the pressures. Now here we don't know the degree to which that he's putting pressures on the internal system. There is an unknowable risk, an unknowable political risk in China right now. At any point, something could break. We don't know what could break. We don't know whether it's the People's Liberation Army that one day decides that too many of its contracts have been taken away. We don't know if there will be a revolt by the Politburo. We don't know any of those things. We have no way of predicting that risk. We have no way of quantifying that risk. And finally, we have emerging markets. And emerging markets, as I say, are confronting low global demand, which means that these markets, which depend crucially on exports, frequently of commodities, just don't have the cash that they had 5-10 years ago. What is the result of that? You have chaos. All these large emerging markets, which once had enormous amounts of money with which they were constructing welfare states, now no longer have the money for those welfare states, and therefore their political consensus is falling apart. And we don't know which is the first to go. Turkey has already gone. All right? Any other of these other markets could be next. Now, what are the larger questions that you should ask when you look at these sort of 4 pressure points in the global economy? The first and biggest, as far as I'm concerned, is it the case that globalization is not the unstoppable force that we've always assumed it was? Lots of countries that were the engines of global integration, that were the engines of globalization, are now turning their back on it. The truth is, it doesn't matter if Donald Trump doesn't become president from the point of view of globalization, because he's already won an argument. Hillary Clinton has already come out against the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the big trade deal that she had supported until last year. All right? Whoever comes after Donald Trump for the Republican Party will also be anti-trade, will also be anti-globalization, will also be anti-immigration. Whoever takes over in Britain, Britain is going to be anti-immigration, is going to be cutting itself off from Europe. It doesn't matter if the people who ran Brexit run Britain or not. What these politicians are responding to is an actual feeling in these societies that globalization has gone too far. From my point of view and from our point of view, it is, look, they benefited from globalization, then China benefit from globalization, and now we're the last in line. And now just when we come to the front of the line, they're shutting the door on our faces. All right? And that is exactly the situation that India is going to be in. We do not know whether trade integration is going to go in the same direction that we expected it would. We don't know whether financial integration will continue to increase. You know, these are not assumptions that we can hold any longer. This again is an unknowable risk. Well, my answer in this case is, look, when you have so much risk and so much unknowable risk, you can never put your eggs in one basket, all right? India looks stable, but is it really? All right? You might want to go into geographies that look good, but are they really going to be looking as good 2 years down the line? All you can do right now, when you have absolutely no idea what the future is going to look like, is operate on with 2 watchwords: with caution and wanting to diversify. That's all I believe that you can do.